Been a long weekend. Let's go through it. All right, guys, welcome back. It was a heck of a weekend. Met Evan up here. Got the car torn down some more, prepped some more pieces for body work. I'm getting kind of cleaned up now. We've got a ton of mess on the bench right here, but you can tell it's been productive. A little sneak peek of what's to come on the channel here, explaining some of that and that right there. We'll get to that in another video, but we got the whole car torn down, all the fiberglass Rocket Bunny pieces off, the deck lid, the hood, the doors, went through, touched up all of the body work because we were getting ready to paint this thing. So Evan, a good buddy of mine, one of my best friends, is really, really good at body work, does it for a living. I used to do body work for a living, but it's one of those things where, like, if you don't keep doing it, you lose it. But we got everything kind of prepped, ready to go, repaired and fixed where it needed to be. This fiberglass bumper, the lovely people at the racetrack, when they pulled it up on the flatbed, cracked the outer side here. So we had to repair that, kind of reinforced it with some aluminum there that I made some pieces, used a shrinker stretcher to kind of make it follow that curve, if you will. Kind of having to hold the bumper up here with one hand, but did the same thing on that side, reinforced it. This was already reinforced up here, but it's a lot stronger now. So hopefully, even if the tire hits it, it shouldn't really bend anymore. So we had to fix a little crack. We shaved this taillight back here. So we fixed a crack that had popped up. I guess maybe our filler had been a little bit too thick at the very beginning, but other than that, we are pretty much ready. These are the flares, Rocket Bunny flares, also fiberglass. One of those was cracked, but we fixed those. So I'll go back here and show you the doors and the hood. But it has been a long weekend. Really, don't know how it happened, or, but I ate lunch on Friday, and your boy got some food poisoning. So it was a little rough that night, and then on Saturday. So shout out to Evan for having to handle a lot of this stuff by himself. Get yourself some good friends who are willing to help when you have projects. So the weekend before, we actually got the vents from LRB Speed cut, fit, ready to go in the 240 hood. Gonna kind of help exhaust the heat in the engine bay from the engine. Got our flares repaired for the most part. A buddy of mine who drove car on track ended up hitting the curbs at CMP right down there, hit them over and over again, basically rubbed a hole in the bottom of the flare. So we got those repaired and fixed. They're good to go. This thing, the doors from the 240, we actually shaved the body line on the car, which is something you don't see very often. So doors, quarter panels, fenders all have the body lines shaved. Something that years ago I decided to do because I feel like the body lines on 240s, when you have a wide body kit, especially the Rocket Bunny kit, you have a nice smooth flare coming down the quarter panel. All of a sudden you just have a line that comes out of nowhere. So you go from line, I'll show you right here. Normally there's a body line right here, so you go from line, flare, which you wouldn't see the line right here, and then line again. So we shaved the body line, made a nice smooth transition. And yeah, getting ready for paint. This thing's gonna be all one color. I have a whole gallon of paint over here. We are actually gonna go with yeah, we got some. Interesting what that thing is. So we're back. We are back. It is Saturday. It's been a few days since that other clip, but we have the body panels set up here. Before we primed everything, we actually stripped all the old seam sealer out of the doors, like all the seams here. That way you can kind of see some of the old stuff there, but that way we have a nice smooth surface to kind of put new seam sealer down onto, which is going to be this stuff here. This is SEM dual mix, self-leveling. It's going to make our life a little bit easier. At least that's the plan. I went ahead and you see this other color here on this. We were battling a little bit of rust issues underneath these panels right here. From the factory, it's just an old car, right? So this is some Pour 15. This stuff is like really hard, like whenever it hardens too. It's kind of like glass. It's really shiny, but this will all get scuffed whenever we prepare to paint the car. But that's gonna help kind of fight some of that rust from spreading. I had to do the same thing kind of on this bottom seam here. You can kind of see it's different colors and kind of messy, but it'll get buzzed down right before we spray the car. But seams are ready. Seams are ready to be seam sealed. It's gonna look nice in OEM whenever we're done. Gonna kind of go through that process. We have to scuff. Here's Evan. We have to scuff the area where that's gonna go so it can bite to it. So just hitting it with this is about equivalent to 320 or 400 grit. So that'll give just enough grit for the seam sealer to bite to. But gonna kind of show that process starting right now. Okay, so we are finishing up the deck lid right now. Got it all masked up. Ready to go. Want the seam sealer to look good. Kind of want it to match what was there originally, which I think what we're doing is going to look better than what was there originally, to be honest. But we're all masked up. It's time to get it on there and smooth it all out. Okay, so back to the seam sealer. This is a two-part seam sealer. It has two holes in the cartridge here. You need a specific gun, which is what one of these guys does. You can load it in there, slide it in, and then it actually will squirt out a hardener and the seam sealer material. And this one has what looks like 15 minutes top coat time, 15 minutes set time. Oh, Evan, it's only got a 10-minute work time. We're gonna have to move a little bit, but we should be good. So while Evan is finishing up the masking for the hatch, you guys might be wondering why my doors are cut so funny. So this is the passenger side door here. You can see we had to cut out a lot of the material here. That's actually to clear the roll cage. Now, when we built the roll cage in my car, it does clear. It cleared with all this there, but right here on the 240 door factory, my car had window cranks, manual windows. Well, when we built the cage without the doors on, so we didn't take into account the height of the door bars. And so the window cranks now can never go on. So all this extra stuff right here was just extra weight. So we probably saved, what do you say, Evan, maybe 5-10 pounds or so worth of weight just by cutting this out. So the door bars, as you can see here, if we would have put the window cranks back in, they would have hit the door bar. So I physically can never have manual windows back in the car again. So maybe in the future on that side, we'll do some NASCAR style bars, because my elbow can actually hit that roll bar when turning sometimes, which is kind of annoying and, you know, kind of like a safety thing. So maybe in the future we'll cut these bars out, make some new ones that kind of cut out this way. But that's one of the main reasons why the inside of the car is actually going to stay kind of like a chassis gray, primer gray color. So any changes or anything like that in the future, like so let's say we have to cut out a piece of material, weld in a new piece, I can just touch it all back up with chassis gray paint and be done with it. So so yeah, the save some weight by cutting out the parts of the doors that we didn't need, and no going back. This is also just kind of seam seal. I did this once we finished the car. This was one of the first parts I seam sealed. So the engine bay is already done, so it's already pretty much ready to be prepped for paint. All we have to do is get the car up on stands outside, degrease underneath it because there's oil absolutely everywhere for whenever the engine exploded. But after that, all that will be ready, just basically be scuffed with the red Scotch-Brite and then ready for paint. Just for ease of filming, Evan's actually going to do all the seam sealer layout, and then whenever everything's done, we'll take a spreader and kind of wipe our corners, and it'll kind of look like it. That's what the factory does. So we're good to go. Let's do the thing.
So I'm going to dispense this whole door.
Okay.
Wipe it.
Do I need a glove?
Probably.
Okay.
Wipe it and take the tape off. That way we'll get the cleanest edge possible.
So go through that one more time. You're going to dispense the whole door.
Dispense the whole door.
Yep.
I'll come back and wipe it
with your finger. Okay.
And then we'll peel the tape. That way it gets.
So my job is to peel
edge.
the tape. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's make sure this stuff actually is still good.
Yeah,
it's probably pretty old.
Dispense about a tube length.
This stinks. I'm not gonna lie.
And it looks good.
Yep. Okay.
Right-handed. Oh, I had to fold it back kind of there because it was a little bit too much tension.
All right. One door done, pretty much.
All right.
Repeat that 2 more times. Let it dry. All right, got everything seam sealed, got the deck lid, both doors done. While that's drying, I figured we can do a quick walk around of the car. Specifically the exterior, it's kind of what we're focusing on in this episode. But I've already touched on the quarter panels, doors, fenders, all having the body line shaved. That was just a preference thing. I did not like the way it looked with the flare, as I touched on in the beginning. We also shaved the third brake light area on the hatch. Just because originally we planned to run the Rocket Bunny wing in the back. After I started fitting the Rocket Bunny wing, after we fit the kit, I wasn't really a fan of how it looked on the trunk. So we kind of did that before we before we really needed to, if that makes sense. We probably wouldn't have needed to, even because the Rocket Bunny spoiler would have covered. It would have covered that third brake light, but it was kind of like a preference thing. I just didn't like it there. It kind of stood out like a sore thumb. So moving on to the exterior, we don't run a rear bumper. I'll just run kooky lights in the rear, stuff like that. It's kind of like the look for the Rocket Bunny kit in this car is to not really run a rear bumper. They give a diffuser with the kit. The diffuser doesn't really look very good, and it's very thin, and if I were to run it on the racetrack, I would probably lose it in a lap or two, if I'm being honest. I had it all built. It's sitting up on the pallet rack in the back of the shop. I have it built, I hung it up, kind of mocked it all up, and just didn't really feel good about it. A lot of questions I get are about the roof. It's a little dusty at the moment, but this is a carbon fiber roof that Evan, myself, and my buddy Jonathan actually made. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago now, probably after or before I got the car on the road. we ended up buying a slick top roof, because my car was a sunroof car. We bought a slick top roof from a junkyard. Don't know if you can actually see it up there sitting on top of that, but we bought the slick top to use it as a mold, and followed like Industry Garage. They had some pretty good like DIY videos on how to kind of use parts like that as a mold, and make your own carbon fiber parts. So we followed that pretty closely, got all of the materials for that, got the carbon fiber sheet, and we laid it all out, you know, did it all ourselves right back here in the shop. It was a little bit of a challenging process, and getting it like off the mold was definitely the hardest part, but it turned out great, and it fits really, really snug because, you know, we basically molded it to kind of sit behind the edge of the roof. So it kind of, if you can see right here, it kind of wraps under, so it's undercut, so it sits really, really tight. So you kind of put this section on first, and then it pops over this front lip right here. And then on the inside of the car, we left like a 1 inch piece of the original roof, kind of like a place to mate this roof to. So right now it's double-sided taped on here, and we haven't had any issues with it, you know, moving around. I've got it reinforced with some foam up there too to kind of keep it nice and stiff. You can kind of see I can push on it pretty good, and it's pretty rigid. So we were originally going to panel bond it, but I think from, you know, going forward, if I ever have to take it off, the double-sided tape is the move. Moving on to that, I get a lot of questions also about the windows. So these are called Skybolt fasteners. So these in particular are the receiver. Skybolt fasteners are a quarter turn cam lock style. They make them in multiple different styles. So like right here, you can kind of see, let me see if I can get this one out. So it is a cam lock style fastener, kind of like used in the aerospace world, these ones specifically. So they kind of go in to the receiver and twist and lock, so then that way you cannot get them out. Like, I'm pulling on that pretty good. They make them in all different lengths and things like that, so it all depends on what thickness material you use, but you have to use a special tool just to even set the receiver into whatever sheet metal you're putting it into. It's like a flip style tool where it kind of gives you a guide for drilling and everything like that. Makes it a lot easier. But every window on the car, including the windshield, is fastened by Skybolt fasteners. So everything can come out super, super quick. There's no glass on the car at all. So that brings us to, what else can I touch on the exterior? I guess that's probably where we'll leave it right now. We'll do an interior breakdown, suspension, brakes, you know, kind of like a sneak peek on the brakes here for those that don't know. It's kind of what we're working with there, but yeah, keep following along. More episodes to come, do them in breakdown series, make it a lot easier, just to kind of introduce the car to everybody. And as we keep moving on with the exterior stuff, you know, after we get the car pressure washed and things like that, we'll do the same seam sealer technique and all of the wheel wells, just to kind of, you know, cover all this stuff up. So that right there does not happen. That is bad. We don't want that. So follow along, stay tuned for the next one.